We're going to be starting a new series next week where we're going to be taking an extended journey through the book of Acts in the New Testament, the story of the earliest followers of Jesus. And that will be for a few months because it's quite a big book, Acts, lots of stories in it. So we'll be spending a good few months going through the Acts of the Apostles as it's known. But that's next week. For today, it seemed appropriate to start with a little one-off reflection as we start this new year together. And to help us do that, I'd just like us to think for a few minutes about this word, holiness. Now, the word holy, it means to be set apart by God, not in a proud kind of aren't I special kind of way, although obviously you are very special. It doesn't mean in that sense. It means more in a kind of humble realization of just how precious it is to know God's presence with us, set apart by him. But I wonder if you know what was the very first physical thing in the Bible that's described as holy. I wonder if you know. It happens way back in the book of Exodus. It's part of the story of Moses when he encounters God on a place called Mount Horeb, or Mount Sinai as it's sometimes called. And so we're told this in Exodus chapter 3. It says, "Now Moses came to Mount Horeb. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, Here I am. Do not come any closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. So, the first physical thing described as holy in the Bible is actually the ground. The place where you are standing is holy ground, says God. Now, was the dirt Moses standing on by this burning bush special? Well, no, I don't think so. Rather, it seems it was God's tangible presence there that sanctified it, that set it apart from other places and made it holy ground. Now, what else is described as holy in the Bible? Well, how about this, again from Exodus, this time chapter 26. It says this, it says, hang it with gold hooks on 4 posts of acacia wood overlaid with gold and standing on 4 silver bases. Hang the curtain from the clasps and place the ark of the covenant law behind the curtain. The curtain will separate the holy place from the most holy place. Put the atonement cover on the ark of the covenant law in the most holy place. Now, a bit of a random description perhaps, but what's being described here? A few chapters after that holy ground was being described? Well, it's the interior furnishings to what's known as the tabernacle, essentially a tent which Moses and his fellow Israelites pitched as a place to meet with God. The tabernacle was like an early temple, a tent which had specific designated spaces inside it known as the holy place and the most holy place. Now, what made these places, these areas inside a tent, holy? Well, again, it was because God's tangible presence sanctified it, set them apart from other places, and made them holy. And then a third thing, what else is described as holy? Well, we read this in Leviticus chapter 20 when we're told, you are to be holy to me because I, the Lord, am holy, and I have set you apart from the nations to be my own. So, the ground is said to be holy, a tent is said to be holy, and now people just like you and me, are also described and declared to be holy by God. And why? or because God has called us to know his tangible presence in our lives. That sets us apart. Again, not in a proud, a special kind of way, but in a humble realization of just how precious it is for us to know God's presence with us. You see, part of God's grace is that he takes the ordinary stuff of life, ordinary ground, an ordinary tent, ordinary people, and makes them holy. You and I, therefore, are holy people, not from anything we've done or do, but because God himself lives in us by his Spirit, his holy presence. And that means you and I, indeed all people, are called by God, set apart by God to be holy, set apart to share the love, the joy, the peace, and the hope of the God who lives within us. That's not something to leave us feeling daunted or weighed down by, but rather inspired by, a privilege which is God's blessing to us in order that we can in turn be a blessing to others. As C.S. Lewis said, the guy who wrote the Narnia books and others, he said, holiness is something we are to do because of what we already are. So as we begin this new year together, that sounds like a pretty good place to me from which to start, knowing that holiness is something we are to do because of what we already are. Amen.